Some Catholic bishops seem to be defying the government's directive on banning religious gatherings for 2 weeks within the bubble. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us a front seat to the story.
Every year, Jonathan travels from Bulacan to the Quiapu Church as part of her Lenten pilgrimage. This year, with the new protocols in place, she wonders if the church will even be open.
Malungkot kasi traditional na since yung bata kami, talagang every year yan, kasama pa ng mga parents namin. Talagang iniikot namin ng lahat ng ganitong simbahan, yung matatandang simbahan.
On Monday, the Interagency Task Force or the IATF banned all mass gatherings including religious gatherings to stem the rising cases of COVID-19. But the order comes just a week before the Lenten season, the holiest time in the Catholic calendar. And some of the bishops are defying the order. Manila Archdiocese Administrator Bishop Roderick Pabilio says the church was not bound to follow a rule where the church was not even consulted.
So diyan mali na sila. At hindi dapat tayo sumunod sa ganyang pamamalakad na walang konsultasyon at it somehow breaks the separation of church and state.
Caloocan Bishop Pablo David asked why church services were banned when gyms and spas were initially allowed to operate. David says the order also violates religious freedom. Bishop Abilio says Manila churches will still hold services, but at 10% capacity.
Actually, we restrict ourselves to 10%. No, because they themselves, they said that there should be no mass gatherings. I don't even know what kind of mass gatherings those are. Why do they say only religious activities should have no mass gatherings? What about in the malls?
Pabilio added that if the government thought it important to give the economy some breathing space, it should also allow for the public's spiritual needs.
They tend to say that because of the spread of the virus, but are not the malls also part of those? No, so why do they allow them to the malls, the restaurants, and not to the church? And we always say that the church activities are essential activities. They are not economic activities. We have also a spiritual need.
Pala spokesperson Harry Roque said religious freedom wasn't the issue. Roque added that the government can shut down the churches if it needs to, but hoped it would not come to that.
Ang defiance po ng IATF resolution is not covered by separation of church and state. What is covered is the freedom to believe and the freedom not to endorse a religion. Pero in the exercise of police powers, we can order the churches closed. Wag sana pong dumating doon, Bishop Abilio.
Religion is deeply embedded in the Filipino culture and is just as important as our health and the economy. So the most important thing is that we learn how to balance them. I'm Jacob Lazaro and we are One News.
The CBCP maintains that Bishop Pabilio's statement wasn't meant to incite defiance of the government restriction on mass gatherings. In an interview with the chiefs, Father Jerome Siciliano said the bishop's statement was just, quote, an expression of his religious right. He added that the Catholic Church is actively following IATF measures on mass gatherings.
There is no defying of government policy. The bishop is very much compliant with government policy. So it was just an expression of a religious right. We are not opening our churches and imposing on the people to come to us during Holy Week celebrations, but under the principle of subsidiarity, it's the people who will decide whether they need spiritual sustenance during these days of the Holy Week. Even the bishop canceled yung pagtitipon sana ng mga pare ngayong Holy Wednesday for the Chrism Mass. So ang daming pare na pupunta sana dyan, but because of the prevailing pronouncement of the IATF, sabi ng obispo, na hindi natin gagawin yan kasi nga merong pagbabawal nitong mass gathering. No, there was no define.
The CBCP also slammed the IATF's rationale behind the closure, saying the latter should have based its decision on past and realistic events and cited the lack of COVID-19 surges during religious celebrations.
Sana nga yung sana naging desisyon ng IATF became more rational. Tapos nangyari na nga yung Pasko, nangyari na yung pagdiriwang ng piyesta ng Quiapo, wala naman napaulat na nag-spike yung coronavirus dahil nagbukas yung simbahan. Sana na-consider yun, So parang ang nangyari dito, the IATF made a decision based on assumptions. But it's not based on realistic event that transpired. Nag-rely lang sila sa kanilang assumption na, abay, baka makadagdag pa ito. So kaya isarado na natin payagan.
NTF Deputy Chief Implementer Vince Dizon insists that the ban on religious gatherings was recommended by experts. In an interview with The Big Story, Dizon said mass gatherings, including religious gatherings, are the most dangerous situations for Filipinos in terms of spreading COVID-19 infections. Malacanang already threatened to shut down churches yesterday if they insist on holding masses amid the surge of COVID-19 cases in the metro and its neighboring provinces. But Dizon said the government would rather avoid a forcible lockdown of churches and urged the church heads and the public to celebrate virtual masses instead.
Hindi naman po natin gustong mangyari yon. Pero kailangan din pong ipatupad ng Estado ang mga pinrescribe niyang mga regulasyon. At ngayon po, klaro po ang regulasyon, hindi po pwede talaga ang mass gathering. Dalawang linggo lang naman po, kaya lang po tatama po talaga ng Holy Week. So humihingi po talaga tayo ng paumanhin at pasensya sa lahat ng ating mga kababayan, pati na rin sa ating mga obispo at ang ating mga pare na sana po magsama-sama na lang po tayo dito at mag-virtual po muna tayo.